Way After Dark.
Welcome. We have our friends here. We have Nick Taylor of the Nick Taylor Horror Show, indie horror producer. We have producer, executive, author Jeremy Ellis, media historian Katie Palumbo, and myself, Sean Canino. For the Halloween season, where we want to talk about each of our top 5 scary movies.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yes, you can exactly.
Yeah.
So all of these are fair game. Katie, do you want to start with your number 5?
Don't forget to wish everybody a happy Halloween, though.
Happy Halloween.
Okay, happy Halloween. Number 5, I think I'm going to say Pearl.
Okay.
Because I liked X a lot. I thought X was great. But I'm a history person. I love an old school vibe. I think Pearl is such an amazing, messed up Wizard of Oz. I think Mia Goth emotes so much. And, like, she's so unhinged, but you also kind of feel bad for her.
You kind of like her, too, for some reason.
Yeah, exactly. We've got super early David Corenswet, who's Superman now.
Yeah.
Doesn't even have a name in Pearl. He's the projectionist. But that whole movie, and especially because it is a prequel, and you kind of know where she's going, I thought it was so compelling, and that performance was just, like, top tier for me. I will say all the time, horror movies deserve more awards. The fact that Mia Goth was not even nominated for anything makes me angry.
Yeah, I think she got some Chainsaw Awards. But I think she deserves some Academy recognition.
I think I meant outside the genre.
Yeah, I know.
First stuntmen, then horror movies.
What's that?
First stuntmen, and then horror movies, or horror movies and then stuntmen. People who go, the unsung heroes of our business with their awards.
Oh, for sure, for certain.
It's hard to believe.
Tony Todd didn't get a shout out at the Emmys, apparently, in memoriam.
I know, that really bobothered me. He didn't get a shout out at the Oscars either. Neither did Sid Haig.
In the Oscar,
They didn't put him in memoriam.
No.
Dude, no offense. The Academy of Television Arts and Sciences sucks dick. I just want to go on record saying that. I hope that makes it into the podcast.
brief Tony Todd sidebar. I don't know if you guys saw Final Destination Bloodlines.
Yeah.
They let him he knew that he was sick. They let him ad-lib his final scene on screen. And they told him, just talk to your fan. Like, be talking to the characters, but talk to your fans.
Okay.
And it's a phenomenal moment. I teared up in the theater just knowing that was, his last performance. But, like, really, they told him, say whatever you want to say, and he knocked it out of the park.
That's awesome. I didn't know that. I got to meet him briefly. I interviewed him on my podcast.
Oh, really?
Years
That's
ago.
cool.
He's enormous. He's like 6'5", and his hands are like Scottie Pippen's.
Best voice
Best voice.
ever.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely one of the great voices of all time.
100%.
First time I ever saw Candyman, it was like, I'm scared, but I'm also intrigued.
Yeah.
I know we're talking top 5, but Candyman, since you bring it up, which is not on my list, but is not my favorite. Like, isn't Tony Todd is he in the remake of the Night of the Living Dead, like the colorized version? That's Tony Todd.
Yeah, the Tom Savini one.
Tom Savini one, yeah, which is great. I really like that, and I have to say, Tony Todd in The Rock is just fucking amazing. He's like,
that's
he is
right.
literally one of my favorite death lines ever. When it's the end of the movie and him and Nick Cage are circling each other around the rockets, and he's like, I'm gonna they're like, the whole plan is done. He's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you now. And this and that. Nick Cage is like, I think we got off on the wrong foot. He's like, do you like music? He's like, what about Elton John? He's like, I don't like soft shit. He's like, oh, because the reason I ask is because you're him. You're the rocket man. And then he launches the rocket and blows Tony Todd out into the San Francisco Bay. But with Tony Todd's delivery of, I don't like soft shit, is one of the greatest, like, it's so good. It's so good. Tony Todd.
You make me want to rewatch The Rock.
So the Oscars neglected him. We love Tony Todd.
Bullshit.
We miss Tony Todd.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Phenomenal actor, cool guy.
And yeah, it makes your movie.
I'm glad he found his way into the Candyman requel. That came out at the right time. He was able to be in it, and he was honored in it in a very beautiful way.
All right, Nick, what's your top 5?
Okay, so I'm going to approach this list as follows. There's like the movies that you think are the best horror movies, and then there's your personal favorites.
I think personal favorites.
Okay, number 5, I think I'm going to go with Lucio Fulci's The Beyond. I just absolutely adore this movie. It is very underrated. It's extremely dreamy. It's very unsettling. It depicts hell in a certain way where you just feel the tone of hell as opposed to actually seeing a visual depiction of it that's actually realistic. It just transcends a lot of things. It's a little cosmic. It's very spooky. It's scary. It gets under your skin. It's got a lot of awesome gore in it. And like when Fulci is on, he is totally on. He's probably my favorite of the great Italian horror directors. And I just think this movie's fantastic. And the score,
Zombie's great.
Yeah, it was neck and neck for a while for me with those two.
That was one of those movies that I had heard about. I think it was in a Tarantino book, Zombie.
Yeah.
And he was talking about, like, zombie fights a shark and a spear piercing the eye. And I was just like 2 sentences that I was like, I have to find this movie immediately. And I found it in like a bin on 34th Street. There was an Old Navy and there was another like video store back in the day, like right next to it was like, here's the bin of shitty movies that nobody watches. Toxic Avenger 3, Re-Animator. And I was like, here it is. I don't believe it. Fulci. I still have Zombie on there. It's so.
Oh, would you use it like a VHS? With
I have the
old
VHS, but now
face?
I have since downloaded it. But I mean, also I love it because it's the famous shot of the Brooklyn Bridge. I'm a big sucker for that.
Oh, that's
If
right.
Like it's one of those like while you're sitting in Hollywood and they're like, there's no way we could shoot it in New York. It's too expensive. And I'm like, fucking Lucio Fulci did it. Shot on the Brooklyn Bridge.
Yeah, I probably didn't have a
With
permit.
50s, right? Probably got a bunch of people and like walked across the Brooklyn Bridge with a bunch of zombie people.
And it's awesome. It feels
And
so
the cops in
good.
the 70s were probably like,
You pay them off.
We've seen worse.
you've seen worse. It's better than the subway.
Yeah. Well, those two, it's a hell of a double feature. But yeah, for Fulci, those two were neck and neck. The Beyond has a little bit of an edge for me because the cosmic element, it's very spiritual also. It just, similar to The Shining, every time I watch it, I get something new out of it. I can't really compare the two. However, it's transcendent in a lot of ways. So I always appreciated the Beyond from Lucio
I'm just curious
Fulci.
while we're talking, are you an Argento fan?
Yeah, love Argento.
Okay.
Love Argento.
Deep Red
Suspiria?
is.
Deep
I
Red is
just
great.
saw
Suspiria is
Suspiria
my
for
favorite.
I just saw Suspiria for the first time pretty recently, and thought that you talk about the visual of we talked about The Shining earlier. It's just such a visual masterpiece.
Yeah.
And creepy.
So
So
cool.
good.
So what's your fifth favorite?
I'm cheating a little bit with this because I've only seen it once, and it's Weapons.
Oh, well.
And I have not had that much fun in a movie theater in a very, very long time. And, a lot of these movies that we're talking about, I think this is the only one that I've seen in a theater, or for the first time in a theater. So I just think it does an amazing job of blending scares, jump scares, horror, and comedy. And also like grounded character development too, and just like it really masters all of those elements very, very well. Some great performances, and so I want to give it another watch to see if it holds up for me in the same way, but I think Krager does a really, really great job, and it would be something that I would be excited to go back to. And I would say, with some of, when I think of like, my favorite or the best scary movies, there's some that are so kind of scary and disturbing, like you wouldn't necessarily want to. This is a movie that, like, I don't want to give too much away because it's still relatively new. There's some effects of it where it's like, you have some people running in a very almost comical way, but scary and
like Steven Seagal running?
a little
The
bit.
Airplane
Naruto
Wars.
run.
Yeah. So no, that's my number 5. I'm scared to go. It could go up or down, but that's currently where I rank it.
Krager's a director who doesn't try to be funny, but you can tell that he's a funny guy.
Yeah.
There's just humor beneath the surface of things. Even
Yeah.
Barbarian doesn't try to be funny, but you can tell it's conceived of by somebody who's humorous. And I think that's really interesting.
So
It
just on, I haven't
bleeds.
seen Weapons, but I'm very excited now. But so Whitest Kids You Know, right? Wasn't that the first thing? That was on IFC. So when I was at AMC, we used to have our like annual conference, whatever it was, at like the 23rd Street Cinema, where they would get everybody together. And in my like second year there, we'd done Mad Men and Breaking Bad, or third year, whatever it was. And I was like introduced to him. They're like, oh yeah, they wanted to meet you, and they like wanted to meet the people behind Breaking Bad, and like they're the guys. Yeah. And I thought like everything else was crap on the channel except for Whitest Kids You Know. And I was like, oh, you guys like are hilarious, man. Like a nice conversation. Totally never saw him again, heard from him again. We weren't doing comedy. There was really no reason to talk. And then Barbarian comes out, and I was just like, wait, why does that name sound so familiar? I'm like, I know that name from somewhere. And somebody's like, oh yeah, he was like a comedy guy, and he directed this thing. And I'm like Jordan Peele. They're like, nah, more like kind of goofing. And then I was like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, so now I'm excited. You guys all like Weapons. All of you guys have said good things. So now I'm excited.
Yeah, they're calling it the Magnolia of horror movies, which I think is pretty apt. The way
Like
it's,
Paul
I mean,
Thomas
I've not heard.
structurally-
Why do they?
Oh, that's an Zach Kreger has said that that's an influence.
Because
Yeah,
of
it
like
makes
Paul
sense.
Thomas Anderson Magnolia.
Yeah, it's shot from a bunch of different perspectives, and it kind of everything
that's true.
collides.
Of course.
It's a conversion movie in a way, which was big in the like 90s.
Yeah, of course. I didn't even put that together.
It's got a.
But it also has the characters all have pathos, and you get like every individual character story, and it all comes together in a way.
It's got
and
a mustache
It's very deliberate
tribute.
with its taste. I'm sorry, very deliberate with its pace, rather.
Yeah. Really well paced.
Yeah, I think I saw Weapons in the theater. I don't think I'd made it to the lobby before I was like, I can't wait to watch this again.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I'm really excited.
Yeah, I gotta
I'm
say, I'm
excited.
bummed I didn't see it in IMAX. Actually,
Oh, now I want to go to the movies and see it. All right.
Yeah. Well, tell us.
there's
Okay,
an
so-
Alamo like right here. Fuck it, let's go.
there you go.
Let's go. We'll do a podcast
What's your number 5?
All right, my number 5, I'm going to go traditional in a sense that it is a vampire movie. It is one of my favorites. I absolutely love it. It pisses me off when I see it show up in a comedy section in a video store. Not that I've been to a video store in a long time, but I'm going to go with Lost Boys.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I love Lost Boys. I think the movie is just beautiful. Not a perfect movie, just to be sure, but like so good and so smart. So obviously we all know it. Some obvious just big hits. Corey Haim, Corey Feldman, obviously. Jason Patrick, like kind of loses it. Jamie Gertz, pre-billionaire status and super, super hot. Tina Turner's sax player, Tim
Capello,
Capello. Yeah,
So, if my dad ever listens to this or watches that, like one of his really good friends, randomly.
Really? I mean, I've seen him interviewed. I got to be honest with you. Bless you.
Yes, bless you. Yes, I think I went on a trip to Bermuda with them when I was 11, 12. Yeah.
So okay, for me with horror movies that I love, there we've talked about this. Like there's horror movies that are they're really scary, right? Texas Chainsaw Massacre kind of thing. And then there are horror movies that I just really like to watch because they're scary parts, but also I just really like the story.
Yeah.
And Lost Boys to me doesn't get enough credit as sort of the updated modern vampire. Like even movies like 30 Days of Night and stuff, I still think Lost Boys edges it out for a few different reasons. First of all, there's just some fucking unbelievably good writing in the movie. Favorite scene, perhaps one of my favorite moments is Grandpa's like, let's go to town. And he's like, oh, great. He's like, let's go to town. And Corey Haim and his grandfather, they get into the car and he's like, all right, start her up. And he starts her up and he's like, let's go. And then he turns off the car and he's like, what happened, Grandpa? He's like, I thought we were going to town. He's like, that's as close to town as I like to get. It's like, and they get out of the car. Great line. No, the whole MTV, like, you know what? There's no TV in this house, Mike. He's like, no MTV. And then grandfather's like, sees the TV guide. He's like, nobody touched my TV guide. He's like, oh, you do have a TV? He's like, no. He's like, I read the TV guide. I don't even see what's on the TV. Like, literally just knocking it down. And by the way, the grandfather, whose name escapes me for the moment, played the grandfather on a little show called Blossom, starring Mayim Bialik. So there's a little bit of TV legacy. But here's the thing. Diane Wiest as the mother, great. Edward Herrmann, obviously, is the head of the vampires, but also one of the great things because they moved to this fictitious town. It's Santa Clarita, which is like Haddonfield, like the murder capital of the world. There's all this great setup. It's kind of its coming of age thing and that, which nobody talks about, but the sexual maturity, right? Like Jason Patrick is the total like older brother. He's pulling away from the family, pulling away from his younger brother, pulling away from and like likes this girl. It's just classic. And then it's the old like the girl has some friends / some boyfriends, and you kind of like just wish they would go the fuck away, but like you sort of also have to like man up and kind of try to do the thing. So he's like riding on the bikes and the whole scene from the train tracks that they're hanging on. I always loved it. I always thought it was great. But the thing that I love the most about Lost Boys is first of all, like I was saying with it and with which was I don't know if we got to scream, but like nightfall coming, right? And with the vampires, that really matters. So the scene where they go to the cave to kill the vampires and they axe or they rather stake. I think it's like Alex Winters, I think is who they stake, and he bleeds all over them, and like they go running out, and it's like the ultimate like no battle plan survives first contact with the enemy, and like they're like screaming at Corey Feldman and the Frog Brothers, like you ever see? He's like, I've never seen a vampire do that before, man. Like they're like, and they get in the car, and like Jason Patrick is like passed out in the car because he's vamping out, and it's like the sun is setting, and they have to get back home, and it's just one of these like great pressure cooker movies. But the thing that makes it so great, and I of course didn't mention Kiefer Sutherland, who's of course great, but one of the greatest twist endings and one of the greatest last lines. So the invite Edward Herrmann in, like I like that they're smart, that they get it right. And I like that I didn't see it coming even back then. Even like Edward Herrmann comes in, sits down to dinner, right? He takes all the tests. They're spilling holy water on him. It's like a classic, like son doesn't like his mom's new boyfriend kind of scene. It's everything other than what you think it is. And then later when he's revealed to be the real vampire, they're like, we tested you, like we did all those things. And he's like, silly boy. He's like, when you invite a vampire in, like you lose all your powers. And that's one of the only modern day vampire movies where there's none of this like, yeah, garlic doesn't really work. Like everything about it is traditional vampire lore, and they hold to it. Just a couple other quick points. Nanook the dog, if we ever have a greatest dogs on movies, Nanook the dog, who takes down the vampire, knocking him into the bathtub. Great. Death by stereo. Great. But the ultimate best part of that movie is the last line of that movie. The last line of Lost Boys, I maintain, is in contention for possibly, arguably, the greatest last line to any movie. And I'm telling from all your faces that you guys don't remember what it is. So they've killed the vampires. Edward Herrmann has exploded. They're all there. Jason Patrick has been turned back. The little kid whose name Lottie has been turned back. Everything is great. They're sitting there. And the way that it happened was, actually, it's not them who kills them. They're dying. He's like Kiefer Sutherland or Edward Herrmann's about to kill him, and then you hear and all of a sudden the grandfather drives up and he plows into these giant wood stakes that he'd been putting up earlier in the movie, and you just chalk it up to like grandpa's doing weird shit around the house again, and you don't realize that he's totally prepared for what's about to happen, and you don't realize it until the stake comes in, kills Edward Herrmann, blows up, and they're all sitting there, right? And it's like that end of the movie, they're exhausted, they're like leaning on each other. Diane Weiss is there, and grandfather walks in. I swear, I love this. He walks in, and Diane Weiss is like, Dad, and he doesn't say anything. He goes to that refrigerator where it's like got his Oreos in his beer, and he takes out a beer or whatever is a Coca-Cola, and he turns around and he says, the one thing I could never stand about living in Santa Clarita, all the damn vampires. And then it fades down on all of their faces looking at him like, are you fucking kidding me? And then People Are Strange comes up, my other favorite needle drop in any movie. So Lost Boys is a definite every Halloween favorite top 5. Don't put it in the comedies. It's so fucking good. I love it.
Well done.
Greatest last line.
There you go.
Important Lost Boys question.
Go ahead.
Have you seen the Lego Star Wars version?
Yes. No. Won't accept it. I've seen the second one. Again, there's certain movies, like I was an executive. The worst idea that I would ever hear would be like the day that my boss walked in. He was like, "Guess what? We got the rights to Goodfellas," and I was like, "You're not thinking about remaking Goodfellas, like, it's like you're not thinking about that, are you?" Like, I literally was one of the reasons I quit. And Lost Boys, it's just one of those like, don't make a sequel, don't tell me anything else about it, don't try to improve upon it. Just it's chef's kiss, perfect. Let it be. I love it.
Let it be.
Top 5 for me.
I love it.
It's
movie.
a segment in the Lego Star Wars Halloween.
Yeah.
Special.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right,
There
I'll have
is
to check that
Kylo
out.
Ren and the Knights of Ren as the Lost
It's the
Boys.
Lost Boys.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That sounds
good.
like it'd be fun.
Joel Schumacher directed, just gotta say.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Joel Schumacher directed it, which is a surprise.
Oh, Lost Boys, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant the
Not
segment,
Lego Star
the Lego Star Wars segment. They had Joel Schumacher direct that, yeah.
Katie, go number 4.
All right, number 4, I think I'm going to go Silence of the Lambs.
Hey.
Released as a thriller, but it was so snobs didn't have to admit they liked a horror movie. It's just fantastic. It's got great performances. The way it's shot is so suspenseful, and it's been copied so many times that there are scenes that you would think would lose their impact.
Right.
But it's just so well made that
Yeah.
the tension is there.
It's iconic.
Sorry?
It's iconic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's one of those movies that just, you can tell the amount of research that went into every moment. And Thomas Harris, writing the book, went to the FBI and consulted and learned what they were doing, so it was the most realistic, most up-to-date. It really just, everything about that movie works.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fun little thing on Silence of the Lambs, just to give a shout out. So the audio book of Silence of the Lambs is read by a man named Frank Mueller, God rest his soul, who Stephen King, he read, I think, The Green Mile and a bunch of his books, said Frank Mueller has the kind of voice that could make the dead stand up and walk. And he has this unbelievable voice, and it's so good in Silence of the Lambs, the audio book.
Oh, wow.
It's so
I
good.
gotta check that out.
Yeah, check it out. Silence of the Lambs is one of those movies, like 10, 15 minutes to that movie is too terrifying. And like, you do not know what you've walked into. From the minute you get into that,
Ted Levine,
Salad.
like that, that character, Buffalo. I mean, yes, obviously Hannibal Lecter, but Buffalo Bill, man, like that.
worked.
And I think that's actually part of what helped preserve the scariness for me. Silence of the Lambs came out the year I was born, so I did not see it until many, many years later. Obviously, a very famous movie, but because so much of the horror is with Buffalo Bill, and so many of the famous scenes are with Hannibal Lecter,
Great point.
I was actually not spoiled in
Right.
the way that The Shining.
Right.
Yes.
I'd seen every big moment. I'd seen big moments from Silence of the Lambs, but none of them were the parts that were the scariest.
Right.
to me.
That's a good point.
I think if you look at it beat by beat, I kind of get why people wouldn't call it a horror movie, because the beats aren't like a horror movie. It's kind of like a procedural, which I think gives it even more brutality, because they present this stuff to you in a very matter-of-fact way, the way a police procedural movie would,
Right.
as opposed to a horror movie that like slowly ramps up tension. It's just like, boom, this guy is skinning people.
So,
boom, this guy's eating
I think
people.
I think the night vision goggle scene.
Yep.
That's when it
is-
turns horror.
Absolutely.
It turns horror, but it that might be one of the most exciting.
You're talking about the ending.
Yeah,
scene, 'cause there's the other-
it might be one of the most
So intense.
like nerve intense
Yeah,
scenes.
so intense.
And I can't think of one that's more intense than that. Like just it's like, you know, like I'm really on the edge of my seat during
Completely.
that. Yeah.
And by the way, so intense that there's like horrifically funny moments in that scene that make you laugh out loud because you're so nervous, which is when she's like,
Yeah.
Catherine, I'm like here at the FBI and like they're gonna come, and she's like totally full of it. And by the way, great switcheroo where you think that they're all gonna show up at the same place and they're in
yeah.
the wrong thing. And Catherine is down in the well going like, don't you fucking leave me. And she's like screaming up.
Yeah.
And then she's like, Catherine, I'm gonna need you to shut the fuck up. They're like completely yelling at each other. And you're like sitting there going like, oh my God. And
Yeah.
She
she's
calls
so-
Clarice a fucking bitch. She's like, you
Yeah,
fucking bitch.
Right. So great. It's so great.
I also have to say, one of those moments of the universe conspiring against me. I go by Katie, but my full name is actually Catherine.
No.
And it wasn't the first time I'd seen it, but I had been watching Silence of the Lambs, and I got in my car to go pick up dinner, and Tom Petty's American Girl came on.
great.
And the scene where Catherine Martin
great.
gets kidnapped, that's what's on the radio. And I
Unbelievable.
just had that moment of like, should I even leave my house right now? Do I just turn
Yeah.
around and go back
Don't
inside?
help somebody load a sofa.
Which, by the
into
way,
a-
Right,
great
so
song.
one of the things that I definitely we didn't really get to in these podcasts, but to me, like I like big believer in movie life lessons. And Silence of the Lambs, I have told this to my wife, and I have told this to other people when you're in. If you are alone and someone asks you for help, the answer is no.
Yeah.
The answer is no, not no sorry, not no maybe, not the answer is no, and then
Yeah.
you leave.
It's a
Yeah.
really good
I don't care if
lesson.
they're crippled. I don't care if they have no arms and no legs. The answer is no.
Well, that's
Yeah.
Ted Bundy, arm in a cast.
Right.
Can you
Yeah.
help me put my sailboat on my car?
That's why it's so scary. That's
That-
what he
that's
got.
where they took
That's
it
where
from.
He took
That's-
it from, right?
Yeah.
That scene where he gets her, man, because also she like you could tell she's thinking about it. You know, she's thinking like, I just want to go outside, and he's just so pathetic.
Well, most victims, they say, they become victims because they're afraid. They can tell that something's up with the person, but they don't want to be rude
Yeah.
or judgmental.
Yeah.
And it's like, I hate to say it, but this mostly happens to women because like women don't want to offend people.
Women are socialized to always be polite and make sure that everybody else is comfortable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
And,
breaks
you
my
know.
heart. But I say to my wife, and I say to like young women in my family, do not be polite.
Right.
Be okay with offending people.
Right.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Especially if they happen to be Buffalo Bill.
Yeah.
Gosh, to a man. I would just add. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, and just related in terms of like safety advice, no adult needs help from a child. And that was something that we heard when I was nannying. It was something the school taught them at like a safety
What's the
thing.
no adult needs help from a child?
If
If
some
it- if
some
it-
adults like, I lost my dog, can you kids help me?
Oh,
Or
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
need
Part of the
directions.
same thing. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No adult who it does not have ulterior motives is going to go to a child for help with a problem.
Yeah.
True.
So as a what they were teaching the kids was don't believe that an adult needs your
Right.
help
That
and
are-
you're the only
yeah,
one who
right.
can help.
Some great things. You gotta say, Jonathan Demme directed. Tak Fujimoto was the DP. Who also they did some great things in Silence of the Lambs that the old don't show, right? Like he tells the stories like this is what happened to this nurse. She took his pulse and this and that. They say his pulse never got above 85. They were able to restore part of her chin, and like you just see Jodie Foster looking at the picture, and it's like as they're walking down into the cell where he is, and it's this like great red lighting, and like this classic like red means danger. Like everything about it is everybody's just firing on all cylinders in that movie. They're so great. And also, by the way, arguably with The Lost Boys, one of the greatest last lines in cinema history. Anybody remember the last line in cinema history?
Have the lamb
He
stop
escaped.
screaming?
That's the second to last line.
Oh,
He
the
calls-
friend,
I'm
the
having
friend,
an old
the friend
friend
over
for
dinner.
dinner.
Yeah,
Having
that,
a-
that
oh,
one.
yeah.
That one. Yeah.
Dude, that's a great line.
Of having the.
I'm having a friend for dinner, and
Yeah.
you see that. I love
Yeah,
that line.
that's
great.
that's
because that guy's a creep.
Chilton.
that's
yeah.
awesome.
That's
Nick, number 4.
Number 4, I'm going to go with Hellraiser. I think
you
it's
go.
hands down the best Barker adaptation, and it really gets into the mindset of Barker. I did read the novella, which is awesome. It takes it into a whole other dimension, but I just think it is an 80s movie, as a horror movie, to a certain degree, effects and creature-driven movie. It's lightning in a bottle. It just works so well. It's so terrifying. When you really think of the implications of the Cenobites, there are these demons who take you into hell, and they rape you, and they pull you apart, and pain and pleasure indivisible. It really, the creepiest way gets to the core of sadomasochism. And you can just feel the channeling of all the weird shit that Clive Barker endured and saw when he was, I believe he was a sex worker for a while, but he was also in a lot of serious S&M clubs in Canada. He saw a lot of stuff. I felt like that all got downloaded into that story and into that movie, but it still has a veneer where you can kind of take it, but the subtext is so insane and so brutal. And I mean, a lot of really good lines like Jesus wept, and then the guy's pulled apart by the chains. As a franchise, it kind of hits and misses. The first 3 are pretty cool. I didn't mind the requel that happened. Or actually, it wasn't a requel. It was a remake, the Hulu one. Yeah, I didn't mind it. I didn't think it was amazing, but I know something about the movie. Actually, I did say it's the best Barker adaptation. It might be second to Candyman, which we'll get to later. But I just love it. It's fun.
Clive
It's
Barker fan,
cheesy. Yeah, I love Clive
Okay.
Barker. Yeah, it has the right amount of cheese where you can still take it seriously. I think the only cheesy thing is the like those 80s effects, like those lightning effects that happen.
lightning effects.
But it works. It's time stamped in a way where it doesn't ruin the movie. But I just love it. I love the Cenobites and specifically the Chatterer and everything about it. It's very scary. I find it very scary. And I think the movie was made for like $1 million. It was really low budget. When you look at the Cenobites, they don't move very much. They're just these very still. That makes them more intimidating. Way more intimidating. It fires on so many cylinders, and I love it. And I love rewatching it. And then shout out to Hellraiser too. Very formidable follow up.
It's funny you mention it. The Chatterer is actually my favorite character design in that movie.
Yeah.
And I'll always remember the first time I watched it because I had this moment after, because I've been watching so much horror and I was getting desensitized and I was watching things sort of escalating. And then I watched Hellraiser and I was like, that was so gross and it was amazing. And the movie is about people looking for more and more extreme experiences until they lose their humanity. And I was like, at that moment of, I'm feeling too close to Frank right now.
Yeah, it's scary. When you start thinking, like, it starts making you think about yourself in certain ways, then it gets scary.
What I always thought was very strange was the whole, we were talking about Freddy Krueger masks for Halloween. We had the Pinhead masks as well.
I had one in the 4th grade. Do you remember me wearing it?
I think I might actually.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's a little young for that particular
I
subject
didn't see
matter.
it in the 4th grade, but I
Yeah,
had it.
no.
But that didn't stop you from dressing up as him.
Yeah.
No, he was iconic.
It's like, everyone should be free to be who they are. I was like, oh, that's a little bit, that subject matter is a little bit above probably what they're marketing their Halloween masks to.
Probably,
Yeah.
because all the sexual subtext of it is very deep and very disturbing, and yeah. And the movie nails it. I think it does a really good job.
And the movie is the toned down version. the novella, which is fantastic, and we should say the novella is called The Hellbound Heart. It is
Right.
not called Hellraiser, if anyone wants to find it. It's much more explicit.
Oh, yeah. It
And
gets
that
very
movie
extreme.
is not subtle.
No.
No.
The book
Totally
is
gets
even
into-
more intense.
Yeah. Come to daddy. So many good lines.
Never read
so
the
many
book.
good
I have to go
moments.
check that one out.
Oh, it's short. You'll read it in one day.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
nice.
easy. It's easy.
Nice.
Love it. Okay.
All right, Sean, 4.
Let's talk about Midsommar.
Okay.
Because, we talk about, a lot of people think that, Ari Aster, like, Hereditary is probably number one. And I can't refute that. I just think Midsommar is such a beautiful movie aesthetically, and it doesn't look like a horror movie. There are some like you could take away a few scenes in that, and it wouldn't be that, right? Like there is, we've talked about with other movies, this sense of dread, and that there is that's sort of pervasive there. But I think it's also kind of a very darkly funny movie. I think Florence Pugh's character, first of all, is completely relatable up until the very last scene, which I think is not super...
Oh, are we going to say she stops being relatable?
I would say I would say that her decision in the last scene is maybe not warranted for what her boyfriend did.
He was a dick.
He was a dick. He was a dick.
Didn't deserve what he got.
He didn't
but
deserve
was a
what he
dick.
got.
Yeah.
He was also, raped for his seed. But
Was that rape? It felt pretty consensual.
I think drugs
was
were
drugged.
involved.
Drugs were
which
involved.
That's,
Yeah, I
that's an
suppose.
issue.
he was drugged. But I think it's funny because you have this sort of educated, group of you have these doctoral students who are all coming in and, studying this sort of subculture, with the exception, of the young man who's from it. And they're all coming in as sort of just like, we don't necessarily want to relate to these people. We want to study these people. And I think it's really, really interesting as to, like, yeah, sometimes as privileged Westerners, like, that's how we act. Or it's like, oh, that's so interesting. And then as things get deeper and deeper, you see these practices that, like, are not necessarily human. You can rationalize them, but, the decision to die at the age of, was it 72? It was some fixed age.
There is a fixed age. I can't recall. I don't know
Yeah.
what
So,
it is.
but all of it, I think, to me, what stands out is the aesthetic beauty of that movie, plus a rational, although I would disagree with it, a rational behavior amongst these other characters of the pagan cult. And whereas I could see how they're acting, but why they're acting, how they're acting, but not agree with it. And that to me is scary. To see like that group of people, it's like, oh, they arrive at these decisions of how they live their lives and how they go about things. And I can see why they think that. And that to me is scarier because I can make that rationalization. The end of it, what I don't necessarily get is when she becomes the queen and then makes this pretty significant decision at the end, when she's only been part of that for a little bit, for a small period. She wasn't born into that. And that to me is and yes, her boyfriend had emotionally betrayed her, but then at the end when you see what happens, it to me, I don't, but I love that ending is controversial, and I love that, like, you can have like, oh, he totally deserved that, and I'm like, no, he didn't.
And
it does fall along gender divide usually as to what people think.
Well, I know because my sister-in-law jokingly said she wanted her wedding aesthetic to be Midsommar.
Yeah. Is he
gonna wear a
my
bear
brother
suit,
said
that groom?
absolutely not. No, I think, and for me, a huge thing too is that I don't see the decision to sacrifice Christian as revenge for him. I'm not going to call it cheating because it's an assault, but I actually see it more as him being neglectful to the point of being abusive throughout. And
Yes.
to me, the most upsetting thing in Midsommar has nothing to do with the cult, the opening scene with the murder-suicide.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
It feels so real.
Yeah.
that it is so upsetting. And I think she's lost her whole family. The person she thinks she can rely on is her boyfriend, who she then learns doesn't really care about her or her emotions. And then starting to see the Harga as people who give her a sense of belonging. Mm-hmm. I think to me, the ending of that movie feels like a very natural progression. Is it a great progression? No, but I completely understand why everything comes out the way it
structurally,
does.
it makes perfect sense. She loses her family at the beginning, and then she finds a whole new family at the end.
Exactly.
And Pele, basically, it's implied that they kill Christian because Pele is going to become her new husband. Because, he kisses her at one point.
Oh, and
there's a
draws
budding relationship between the two of them.
And that's the thing, I think, too, is the setting up of Pele being in love with her. I feel like it does, the way that's set up contrasts the boyfriend. Every time we see Pele do something very thoughtful or sweet or romantic towards her, it happens right around the time her boyfriend is doing something to drive home the idea that he's really not invested in her as a person.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. And I've done psychedelics before. The idea of being on psychedelics and being in a dangerous situation is terrifying.
Yeah, it's not a good
And you're
situation.
being pulled into him being on some sort of psychedelic that makes him renders him completely and totally catatonic, and he's being against his will brought into a burning teepee or whatever that was. That was absolutely terrifying. The idea.
That's So I don't know, that whole movie is
That's his second movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you? 4?
All right, my fourth is I really like this movie. I'm curious to hear what you guys think, but which of you guys have seen The Invitation? Okay, I love The
You've
Invitation.
talked
I have.
about The Invitation.
I'm a
before.
huge fan of
Yeah.
this. Now, I do think it's genuinely a horror movie, but in the sense that we were talking, I was talking about Dread in The Shining and Dread in these other movies. The reason so The Invitation, here's the basic premise for The Invitation. It begins with this couple. I should know their actors' names right now, but they're on their way to a dinner that they've been invited to, and it quickly becomes clear that this couple, the guy, had been previously married to the woman whose house they're being invited over to, and it's her and her new husband, and she's been out of town. She's been gone for a while, and you can tell you're this is an odd thing. Why are they going over to the house? The movie starts off. It takes place in L.A. and they're going. But the first thing that happens is they hit this coyote, and it's they have to put the coyote down, and it kind of puts you on edge just a little bit. And it's really important because the movie I love, and even though I've seen it before, I still love it for this reason. But I love showing it to people for the first time because, as I think we all are, people who really know movies well and kind of typically know, the language of cinema or sort of what's coming. We've heard all the stories before. The Invitation is one of those movies where I'm watching it and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm actually not sure I know what's going on. And so the premise is they get to this dinner and it's all their old friends. It's the St. Elmo's Fire, college friends, but they're all in their probably 20s and 30s. So they're more the adult version of it. And what quickly becomes clear is that this woman who and her new husband have invited them over, and she was married to the guy who's the main character, they had a child together, and that they lost their child, and that this was the beginning of the end of the dissolution of their marriage, and he left, couldn't take it, and she went off somewhere. She has a lot of money, and so they're living in her house. She's still living in her house. This is a really nice house up in the hills, and she's now here with her new husband, and it's this ostensibly get together for dinner. And from the beginning, the main character starts to get the feeling something is just not right here. Something is wrong. And all of the evidence that he starts to sort of compile, this one guy, Chan, who's one of the boyfriends of the girls, isn't there, he isn't at the dinner. What's going on? The couple are acting weird. They start talking about how the couple who invited them over, his ex-wife had they went, there was this cult. They were in Mexico. They don't call it a cult, that it's all about appreciating the beauty of life and this and that. And they play this video for them. And it's this video of this woman who's dying and she's surrounded by the guy who leads this cult. And they're sending her off to death, and everybody's watching it, and they're why would you show it to us? But it's not a horror movie feel. It's more why would you show it to us? If Sean showed it to us, we'd all be okay, you try to be deferential. I know there was a reason, but why are you showing it? And this guy's getting his hackles raised. He's something's wrong. and like you're with them, right? So like he goes and he like wanders into his old room, and you start to learn that like, oh, the son had died, like they lost a baby, so you're sort of finding out all his backstory, and it's building you up as the viewer, like, what is going on here? Like, what is going on? And every time, like at one point he freaks out. He's like, no, where's Chan? Remember? He's like, where is he? And then the guy walks in and he's like, yeah, I got lost. And every time you think that something like is wrong, it's sort of like refuted. Like it turns out like, oh, he was just mistaken, or he's over anxious. And at one point the girlfriend with him, she's like, we're leaving. And he's like, no, like, I'm gonna stay. I'm so sorry. And it gets to this point in the movie where like, I'm so sorry. It's just me. I'm distraught over the kid, and this is really hard. And like, it's okay. You know, like, let's all sit around. We'll have a drink. It'll be fine. And it's crazy. Like, I don't want to give away. I don't really give away the end of the movie, because what ends up happening and how it gets revealed is so good. I really like. I think it's such a. I'm not sure I'm doing the movie's justice, but it's such a surprise in the way that it unfolds, and it just gets absolutely nuts. And what's the actor's name who plays the big guy, the ball guy?
I was just thinking of him.
He's
I
in
forgot
Zodiac.
his name.
He's got a funny name, like Leslie something or other, and I can't think of his name right
It's
now.
not John Carroll Lynch.
John Carroll Lynch, that's what it is, not Leslie, right? John Carroll, that's why it's Carroll. I'm like,
different.
It's Leslie Carroll. I was like, I knew
yeah.
there's a female name in there somewhere. He's like great. Like, just shows up in this movie, and at one point, like, again, I don't want to give it away because you've never seen it. It's really worth seeing. But when it turns great, and it has one of the great like little twist endings, if you want to call it like a twist. When they realize what the lights mean that they've lit all over the hills is so good. It's like such a. So The Invitation is my like I it's probably more recent. It's definitely not like a blatant scary. It's very suspenseful, but when it turns the corner, like the last scene is so intense. So I highly recommend it. I love showing it to people if they've never seen it. It's very good.
Yeah. I mean, the scary thing about it is something is up, but you also was like, is something up? If I was at this party, would I go with it?
Right.
And you're like, everybody around here is very kind and very kind of cool. And the viewer, it's like there was a cult documentary I watched, even like the NXIVM cult documentary. I was watching a thing. I would have fallen for this.
Right. Well, and also, right, you would have fallen for, but also the thing is like we were just talking about how like, The Shining is you're sucked in, but The Shining, okay, they're snowed in, they're in a hotel. Like you understand why like they can't get out, right? Like you understand this movie, you're sitting there, and what you end up doing is you're going like, but I think I would have left now.
Right.
Like I think I would have left, but maybe not. Like maybe I wouldn't have left. Like
I don't want to be rude.
I want to be rude, but also like my friend. These are all my friends. It's not like no, I probably would have stayed. And then by the time you realize it's like you probably should have left. Like it's too late. It's too late. So The Invitation,
Theme of this conversation: don't be polite. Just get the fuck out when you
By
get
the way,
a
a
bad
lot of
feeling.
movie life lessons in that. First, don't go to your don't go to your ex-wife's dinner party. Probably is a good one. But I highly recommend it. And I can't remember any of the actors who it was directed by. I'm unprepared.
Karen Kusama.
Yeah, thank you, Karen Kusama, who I fucking love. She's so good. Who
Yeah,
went on
she's
to do
amazing.
Yellow Jackets and.
Oh yeah, that's right.
she's
Yeah, that
great.
was hers.
Yeah.
So all right, that's my fourth one.
All right, that gives Katie to number 3.
All right, so it's for me the version of It from 2017.
Nice.
It's scary. I love every cast member and every performance in it. I think the overall story just works so cohesively.
Part 1 and part 2, or just part 1, or doesn't?
Part 1, I think part 2 had some elements that didn't work as well for me. It's not a bad movie. It's just not, in my opinion, on the tier of the first one. And I think by separating out the first one so that it's only the kids section, it actually does have a cohesive ending.
Yeah.
It obviously sets up for a sequel, but you don't feel like you're missing a chunk of the story.
Yeah.
And I just think I had so many different emotional reactions watching that movie, and I think it speaks to the writing, the directing, the story, the cast, just everything about it worked for me. And we've talked about this in our It episode. The first 5 minutes are an incredible short film that are then followed by an additional 2 hours of incredible film.
Nice.
Yep.
Very good.
There you go. Nick,
Oh, what are we up to? Number 3?
we're up to number 3.
Number 3. All right. Re-Animator.
That's great.
God, it's something about this just hits a sweet spot for me. It's very much my sense of humor. And the movie if you watch it, it doesn't try too hard to be funny. It's just inherently really humorous. The gore is really good. It's just complete and total madness. And it's the perfect, like, chocolate peanut butter combination of Brian Usna and Stuart Gordon, who did a lot of collaborations together, but I think this was the pinnacle of their capabilities and working together. This movie is just magical from beginning to end. It's bonkers. It's just wall to wall insanity.
Pure insanity.
The laughs. Yeah. This scene, the classics, I mean, it's not really a spoiler alert, but the scene where the severed head goes down on Barbara Crampton is the most twisted, insane thing you've ever seen on cinema. And that was in the 80s. It's like, I'm shocked that they got away with it. But they did, R rating. And the gore is good. It works well as a zombie movie. It works well as a Lovecraft movie. It has so much going for it, and it just works. And it's almost Tim Burton-esque in a way. It's got this sort of ethereal quality about it at the same time. And it's cartoony without being goofy. Like, you take it seriously, but it also just goes so bonkers. But I'm with it every step of the way. And it kind of lulls you into believing everything. And then you find yourself going, Jesus, this is completely insane.
Completely insane.
Can't believe what I'm watching right now. But and so many iconic elements, like the glowing goo and the syringes, clearly borrowed by the substance, things like that.
Yep.
And this one stands the test for time for me. And I love showing it to people. And it feels like a cinematic experience when you watch it at home with somebody else, because it's a very engaging, reactive, just barn burner of a movie. So, Re-Animator.
Nice. Great Jeffrey Combs performance, too.
Oh, my God, yeah.
I met Stuart Gordon. It was one of the first meetings I took at AMC. Came in and I was just like,
oh, yeah.
And I was the only one who had seen it. And he was talking about it. And it really was like they weren't paying attention. It was nobody knew. And like, he's like, hey, we're just making this movie for, turned it in.
Yeah.
And it was good. It was he's like, if it hadn't been for home video, probably would have never gotten made. But man, it was it's such a unique film. Like,
yeah.
I mean, and spawned a lot of wasn't like Wes Craven's like, My Crazy Friend, what are the one where he brings back the girl?
Oh, Deadly Friend.
Deadly Friend.
Yeah, I love Deadly Friend.
Deadly Friend is good. But like, I felt like all those like Re-Animator inspired.
Yeah, kind of felt like a Re-Animator adjacent sort of movie. Or
different tone, but like
definitely.
Re-Animator is so unique. But
yeah, it's Stuart Gordon. It was mostly stage actors like Barbara Crampton and Jeffrey Combs. I forgot the name of the other guy. They were all stage actors, so he would rehearse the entire movie from beginning to end in a stage. So everybody had their lines locked in, and there was a lot of cohesion with the actors. I mean, they took it very seriously. That's how you make something that bonkers work that well. Is don't try to be too funny, play it straight. Everybody did, but they're still just hysterical lines like "cat dead" explanation later. So many good lines. But yeah, I love it. It's so entertaining, relentlessly entertaining.
Yeah,
you're making me want to rewatch it now.
Watch it now too.
It's been a few years, and I think I'm due for a rewatch.
Yeah, and Bride of Re-Animator is not a terrible follow-up. Doesn't quite hit the same notes, but it's worthwhile for sure.
It's no Gremlins 2, but it's
no, certainly not.
All right, who are we up to?
Sean?
Yeah, my number 3 is The Shining. We've talked about it on a previous episode. Just an iconic movie. Kubrick, Jack Nicholson. Not much that we've said a lot about it already, but highly recommend the watch if you haven't watched it already. Simple and short. Jeremy, what's your...
I'm going to have to go with zombies. So if I'm going traditional, I got to go Night of the Living Dead. Seminal movie for me. And it was one of those movies that, like we were sort of alluding... We talked very briefly before of a lot of the best movies I found are the ones that I've heard about before I saw it. I was standing outside of, I could tell you exactly where it was, La Parma restaurant in Long Island, waiting to get in. And my uncle, who is an actor and a writer, and proceeds to act out the opening scene of the brother and the sister going to their parents' grave. Okay? Not the zombies, not anything. Just Johnny going, Barbara, they're coming to get you, Barbara. They're coming to get you. And then describing that there's this guy, and you see this guy moving, and I'm sitting there waiting to get called into this Italian restaurant. And my uncle starts and he's there, and he starts chasing me down the street that we were in. And he's lumbering after them. And I was like, oh my God. I ran away, went home. I have to see this movie. Love it. I watch it all the time. It's one of those, like, when people sit there and talk about great movies, and I'm like, dude, I love Citizen Kane. I could talk about why it's brilliant, why Orson Welles was a seminal director, why it made a difference. If Citizen Kane and Night of the Living Dead are on at the same time, I am watching Night of the Living Dead. As a just quick, because I have to mention it, like Dawn of the Dead, and I feel like, Nick, you'll appreciate this. Dawn of the Dead also goes with it. They're really a hand in hand. The remake of Dawn of the Dead,
Snyder, pretty rocking.
Fucking great. Opening 10, maybe the greatest opening 10 minutes of any movie
Pretty
ever.
good needle drop.
Unbelievable needle drop. Also, speaking of needle drops, was Dawn of the Dead. One of the great things I ever saw was the band Goblin.
Oh, yeah.
They redid the whole soundtrack. So if you watch Dawn of the Dead, don't watch the original, watch the original cut, but they find the one that has the Goblin soundtrack because they took out all the cheesy synth, 1970s Dawn of the Dead stuff. And I'm talking about not the remake Snyder one, but the original Romero one. And they dropped in the Goblin soundtrack they did. And it makes the movie infinitely creepier.
Because Dario Argento was a producer on that.
Dario
He was an
Argento
executive
was the
on
producer,
that.
exactly. For me, I'm a big zombie fan. I do love those. I just think they're so good. Nothing better than zombies.
Awesome. Okay, so that's all number 3s. Number 2, Katie.
So number 2 for me is going to be Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
There it is.
Fantastic movie, iconic, but for me, what really makes that movie work is how real it feels. That you feel the heat.
It's like a snuff film.
Yeah.
It really, the movie's obviously set in Texas in the summer. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in the coldest room in the world. If you're watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you can feel yourself starting to sweat.
You almost
feel
said
the
Texas
heat.
Chainsaw Manicure.
That's
Different
a
movie.
great
Yeah, I know.
spin-off.
That's, yeah.
But that, you feel like you're there. The dinner scene.
You can smell the dinner scene.
It's iconic for a reason. You feel like
Yeah.
you're there and you don't want to be. And it's one of those movies, I'm sure we'll talk about it at some point.
That warrants its own episode for sure.
The experience, everything I know about the experience of making it, Edwin Neal, Nubbins the Hitchhiker, had served in Vietnam and said making that movie was a worse experience.
Whoa.
That's a hell of a claim.
Yeah.
That is an intense movie, and it shows. You're watching it, and you feel every moment of discomfort, and it is so icky to watch. But that's what makes it amazing.
I would say that the interesting thing to me is that Leatherface is probably the 3rd scariest character in that movie.
Oh, yeah. Easily.
I would say he's of that
point.
family, and then the whole grandpa thing's
Grandpa is
hilarious.
horrifying and funny.
So
He's
insane.
horrifying, but kind of that's the brilliance of that movie is in that particular scene. You have this terrifying, really hard to watch scene, and then you have this really comedic runner during the scene with
Where they're trying to get with the hammer on the head?
Yeah.
Oh, comedic is not the word I would use for that.
Yeah, I don't know.
At all.
It is something funny about it, though.
It is there.
Because he's all
it's
dead,
darkly funny.
basically.
Well, yeah.
I'm
Like, come on, you got it.
Yeah, you
Right.
got it, Grandpa.
Yeah, but if you
Yeah,
ever
there's a
want to
bucket
show
there.
how psychotic a family is, that's the thing I love about
Yeah.
that. I don't know if it was indie budget or whatever, but so to me, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which also makes my list, and I'll call it number 2 as well. But it is one of those movies that I just go. I was watching it, and even this day, I'm a little scared to put it on. I have to be honest with you. It goes on, and I'm a little scared. And that was a movie that during that scene, I stood up and I went
Can I do this?
I don't know if I can do this.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. And I was with other kids, and I was with a girl that was that, and it was a perfect setup for have a good time in the afternoon. It was a pool party.
Not that
and
one.
25 minutes into it, I was just I don't know if I'm gonna make it. I'm not
Yeah.
sure I'm gonna make it through this
Yeah.
fun. So
Yeah,
good. I think it is hands down the most terrifying movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, there's my number 1, but I will pick another number 1 just so we can flow better. But that movie is every time
what
you put
movie's
it on,
scarier
you
than that
gotta.
movie?
I can't think of anything.
I can't think of a
You gotta
scarier
brace
than that,
yourself
yeah.
every time. It's the energy and the tone of it. From the opening sequences with that sound design where you hear that noise and they cut to dead body images,
Oh my God.
and then you see a desecrated
Oh my
corpse,
God.
and then the crawl with the
God.
voiceover. It's boom, 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 3 things just in a row that just crucify you before
literally-
the movie starts.
It's we were talking about this during another conversation, but it's part of it could easily be on my list as well. I had the feeling that one of you was going to choose it,
Right.
so I omitted it. But I would say that it's that uncomfortable movie where it's that, and this
Oh
is
my
not on my
God.
list. It's
I'd
not
say take a shower after you see that movie.
right. Well,
Oh
it's
my God,
it's
yeah.
just
You need to do a juice cleanse.
it's it's a very different kind of movie, but Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah.
It's in the same genre. It's oh my God, Like, I'm so uncomfortable watching this, but that's what movies are supposed to do. You know, movies, television, anything, any form of art, I think, is supposed to make you feel something.
Moves
And
you.
that
Right.
that
Visceral,
viscerally
right.
makes you feel something in
That's why horror is the best.
Well,
Yeah.
It's the only. I mean, really, it's just so visceral when it works.
and that to me is everything with that movie, and it is brilliant, and just the dinners, like the close on the like the sausages, and it's just like, oh my god, like what am I?
Also,
what am-
it has. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Katie. Go ahead.
Oh no, you could go.
No, it has the distinction of like most horror movies end where when the person gets away, you think like, oh, all right, like they made it. Like everybody else. I know she lives, but all I think when I watch the end of that movie and she's pulling away on that truck and he's waving that, I think it doesn't even matter that she lived. It doesn't matter. It's like the end of the
Damage
long
is
walk.
done.
It just doesn't matter. Like there's no coming back from it.
Yeah.
And by the way, just since we bring it up, it's worth talking about the remake done by Michael Bay. I thought was very good.
I enjoyed the hell out of it.
thought it was great.
As good as a remake probably could have been for something
and
like
scary,
that. Yeah.
and gruesome, and Jennifer Love Hewitt's ass. Sorry, very hot. But like, I have to be honest.
Jennifer
with
Biel, sorry.
you. Sorry, I said Jennifer Love Hewitt. Jessica Biel.
Jessica
Yeah,
Biel.
All right, sorry.
We're
Jessica
both
Shadow
Biel.
was a third. Yeah, there we go.
We got there.
But we'll edit it right. But you watch that movie and you go, good movie, like scary, like definitely a few peaker, but like no hesitation about putting it on. No, like work. Like the first one, the original is just on another level.
And I
Fun
would
fact
argue,
about the original. So this was before PG-13. Toby Hooper wanted a PG rating. Swear to God, this is very real.
He's so insane.
So he made, there's like, if you look at it knowing this, you'll notice there's not a lot of penetration in the movie. You don't see a chainsaw entering anybody.
Okay.
A lot of the violence happens off screen, and there's really not a lot of blood in it.
Right, not a lot of
A
blood.
lot of it happens off screen when she
that's
gets
the
hung
genius
on the
of
meat
it.
hook.
Right.
Yeah, and you don't even need it. You
Yeah.
know, it's a
in
funny
the
thing.
remake, they show him going on the hook, and it's gross.
You
and you're like,
see
you cringe.
everything.
And
They're
it's-
cutting legs off.
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
they just go for it.
They go for it.
I would also argue that in some ways, House of a Thousand Corpses is a remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
That's a good way
That's
to
a
look
good
at
point.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
a
That was- I like
spiritual
Rob Zombie.
sequel in a way.
But
Yeah.
for me, I mean, it's scary, it's gross. I rewatch it every summer.
I think pound for
I should
pound,
be the poster.
as a
It's crazy.
franchise, pound for pound, it's pretty solid. If you look at the sequels, like number 2 is awesome with Dennis Hopper.
Yeah, great.
Totally different tone. It goes full comedy, and you have Bill Moseley in there. Genius.
Bill Moseley as Chop Chop is
So
the best part of
insane.
that movie easily.
Yeah, but there's just that unhinged nature to all, like a lot of the sequences. Even the McConaughey one is not great, but there's moments where McConaughey is so insane and unhinged.
Yeah,
and
it's
it's
fun.
not good as a movie, but it's worth seeing because there's
Is that
stuff
the one with
in
Renee
it.
Zellweger's in
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
Yeah, and they're like the ending is really stupid. They're part of the Illuminati. Yeah, whatever. Get the hell out
Yeah.
of here. The Leatherface one was like meh, but then when Michael Bay started bringing them back, like that whole trilogy was solid.
Solid.
You know, the regular remake was really, really good, and the Netflix one was okay. But as a franchise, it's pretty solid. But I want them to
Netflix
go
one was-
more to the.
That was so stupid.
Which
I
one?
hated that one. The Netflix one.
You thought so?
Was that the one where they're like on the bus in the town? Yeah. That was one of those movies.
I
where
didn't
was, like,
hate
screaming
it.
at the characters.
I wanted it to be better. Well,
it
when I
doesn't-
heard Fede Alvarez was going to get behind it, I thought he was going to do a whole Evil Dead sort of thing, where
Sure.
like really shift things and go really extreme.
Right, which is great.
I didn't quite get that. I don't know. It was a little nerfed for me. I wanted them to go fully unhinged, but now it's up for bidding. Apparently, A24 is in like a front runner
The
for
rights
getting a
are up
hold
for
of it.
both.
The rights are Jordan Peele is vying for it. So is Taylor Sheridan. Taylor Sheridan would do something
He would do some
cool
interesting
with
stuff,
it as a
That's cool.
producer. Yeah, because I mean he's a Texan. But I want that old grit. I want to know more about the family. We've been following Leatherface. Like, what does that family look like nowadays? Let's go back to the house. What is his grandpa's corpse still in there?
I mean, I'd be surprised if it wasn't.
I'd be surprised if it wasn't
Yeah.
too.
He's probably taxidermied or whatever it is.
Yeah,
right?
100%. 100%.
That is one of those movies that I just literally for like 3 decades was just like
No, that's-
never going to Texas. Like never, ever going to Texas ever.
Yeah, the original title was Head Cheese, but they
Yep.
thought Texas Chainsaw Massacre was way catchier, and I agree. It's
And I
very
agree.
catchy, very iconic sounding. Yeah.
And then Toby Hooper would go on to do Poltergeist before he was fired, and supposedly Spielberg finished it. And like, what did he ever? Like,
I thought they worked on it together. Was he fired off
Well,
of the
so
movie?
he
What's
was
the whole
he was like supposedly
discrepancy?
supposedly fired, and Spielberg had to come in and finish it, but it's You never really know.
What I had heard was that Tobe Hooper was
didn't
directing it, but Spielberg had so much oversight.
Well, I've heard that too.
That it felt like a Spielberg movie.
Right.
But I thought the two of them worked well together.
Oh, I didn't hear
Because I
that.
think Poltergeist is great.
All right, well, put in the comment section if you know if
There
Tobe
you
Hooper
go.
and Spielberg are still friends. What is he? What is he? Is he like alive? Like, what is he doing?
No,
these
he
days?
died.
He died, right?
He died like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he didn't direct any of the sequels though, did he?
He did two. He did Texas Chainsaw.
He did
2.
two. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. All right.
That was him.
Couldn't remember.
The Hopper
All
one.
right.
Yeah.
All
right,
Cool. Texas Chainsaw. I'm glad that made the list.
There you go. Nick, what's your number 2?
Number 2, Candyman.
There you go.
Great movie.
It's just perfect in structure and creepiness and is so terrifying. And Tony Todd is, and I saw it at an age where it got under my skin and it scared me. And I'll still just kind of never forget that. And the direction from Bernard Rose was amazing. The Philip Glass score is incredible.
great.
It really, I mean, I hate when people say, oh, the score was a character. The score was a character. It really just pulls the tone of the movie in this just biblical direction. And it's really, really scary. And I think it's scary to this day. And Tony Todd's direction. And the whole, I think that there's something in horror, something really scary, and Smile capitalizes on this. Like Virginia Madsen's character is going through something horrible, but nobody believes her. And there's that element of isolation. And this thing is happening to her. Nobody believes her, and it's coming for her. And I have to admit, the Jordan Peele produced, Nia DaCosta directed requel rather, made me look at the new one in a whole new light. And I thought that was such a beautiful way to recreate that movie and make it more meaningful about the idea of like every 10 or 15 years, there is another African-American martyr who was horribly killed. And unfortunately, that is still very relevant to this day. And I just think it's such a meaningful movie. And another Clive Barker adaptation, but everything about it just works so beautifully.
He directed Candyman. He directed Candyman? The
He-
first
He didn't
He
direct
wrote
it. No,
the
it's
short
based
story.
on, it's a short story. I think he
The
consulted
Forgotten.
the script. Yeah, or The Forbidden. Forgotten,
Okay.
Forbidden.
Who directed Candyman?
Forbidden.
Bernard Rose.
Yeah, Bernard Rose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Yeah, and Tony Todd,
This is
they
why
had
Nick
real
is good.
bees.
This is why Nick works for Fangoria, because like Nick's mentioned two movies, and I'm like, yeah, I gotta rewatch
Yeah.
Candyman. I gotta rewatch Hellraiser. I want to see those again now.
They're so good.
Like
so
put the kids to
good.
bed early tonight. You gotta go to bed. Daddy needs to
Well, I
go-
saw some bees outside, so you got to be careful.
That was insects. Anything with insects.
Yeah. Well, Tony Todd's rule was because they were working with real
Yeah, he
bees.
did, yeah.
For every bee sting, he gets paid an extra $1,000.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
I think he got $27,000 from that clause.
Yeah, just an extra one.
I
Yeah.
have to be honest with you. It's one of those things where, like, I imagine, like, if I was ever cast in a movie, and they're like, "All right, listen, we're gonna put all these bees in your mouth," I'd be like, "Well, I'm out. That was a nice career."
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna put all these tarantulas on your back before Indy swing. Well, hey, it was good working with all
Yeah,
of you.
sorry,
I will
guys.
not be here for the rest of this movie. Thank you very much. Yeah, no bugs and the bees.
Yeah.
And you know a movie is fantastic when it changes major elements of the source material and the original author says what you did was better.
Yeah.
And that's The Forbidden, thank you for correcting me on the title, is set in still a poor neighborhood, but in the UK. Clive Barker is from the UK.
Right.
And race really was not an element. It was just about economic class. And when Clive Barker saw that finished product and saw how they'd brought race relations and that tension into it, he said, "This is phenomenal. I'm so glad
Right.
that you made this change because it adds another layer."
What a
of
gentleman
meaning."
to be humble about it like that. So you
Oh,
took my idea,
absolutely.
made it better. Good for Clive.
Absolutely.
No surprise there.
In some
Though.
ways, it's the best thing if somebody can say that. It's like the ultimate compliment, and to themselves as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, hey, you did a great job.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So that's number one.
All right. So I'm up. Okay. So number 2 for me is Jacob's Ladder.
Interesting.
For
That's
and-
actually glad. I'm surprised. I'm pissed I didn't put that on my list now.
yeah, well,
That is a great
and
movie.
obviously the Adrian Lynn 1990 Tim Robbins star. Not the Michael Ealy remake, but nothing against that. But yeah, it was a movie that I came to in the last several years. So obviously it's an older film, and I just think from a plotting standpoint, yes, there are holes, yes, there are gaps in logic, but it's really brilliantly constructed and evokes such a sense of paranoia to it. Obviously, you're sort of in his point of view the whole time, and I don't know if you ever break his point of view or not. I don't think you do, which I think is sort of the point of it. There's some moments I think where you see Danny Aiello walking through the hall is like, what, and he's like, well, why are you keeping him in this hospital and you're cursing him out? But for the most part, you're in Jacob's point of view, and it's terrifying. And he plays a soldier in Vietnam, Vietnam vet who wakes up in a subway train from. I read recently that it's the mid-'70s, even though the movie came out during, I think, 1990, so probably shot in the late 80s. And it's this period of New York that was not necessarily the period of New York that we experienced as kids, but the unsafe, really, really dirty period of New York.
It's a good...
That itself was sort of this hellscape in a way, and I think really depicted it in, really, really well. I think Elizabeth Pena is amazing in it. It's just some really great performances that plays with point of view. But I want to. I don't know if you guys have seen it or, were spoiled for actually what is happening and what the end of the movie is. I think the end of this movie and sort of the twist ending of it, if you want to call it that, influenced some others that some more popular movies that. Sixth Sense comes to mind as to something that actually was, going on. But I, as somebody who was raised, agnostically, secular beliefs, I didn't know the biblical story.
Oh, you don't know Jacob's Ladder?
Yeah. So I'm wondering, from any of your perspectives who didn't have that upbringing, who had a more religious upbringing, whether that spoiled the watch for you or not.
You know the story though now, right?
Now I do.
Ladder is, right?
Yes, now I do. I didn't know the biblical story.
Oh, you don't know Jacob's Ladder?
Yeah, I didn't know the biblical story.
Oh, you don't know Jacob's Ladder?
Yeah. So I'm wondering, from any of your perspectives who didn't have that upbringing, who had a more religious upbringing, whether that spoiled the watch for you or not.
You know the story though now, right?
Now I do.
Ladder is, right?
Yes, now I do. Sort of go,
so then
him
what's your
letting
theory on the
go
movie?
and him making.
Is he dead the whole time?
For sure. Like you have Macaulay Culkin, one of his earliest roles. I mean, he's dead after he gets stabbed. As Gabe, his son who had died. Yeah. That was also a very dark part of it, which was his son had died in a hit and run accident.
Right. It's always hard when the kids die thing.
Yeah, but so it's him, hallucinating and the moments before his death, and you say at the very end, it was like, oh yeah, he put up a hell of a fight. But to me, that I don't know if I would have been spoiled for that ending and for what was going on if I had known that biblical story before watching the movie.
I don't know the biblical story is, Jacob is on the night's journey to go meet his brother Esau, and he lays his head down on a rock, and he has a dream, and he sees a ladder where the angels are, coming and going. And then I would say that and interestingly, they're going from the earth to the heaven, so you sort of kind of wonder what that's about. But then there's the second sort of half of that story, which is when he wrestles with the man at night, which is considered to be, God or an angel. But I don't think that I'm not sure how the Jacob's Ladder in that story sense would spoil it, but what was the interpretation that you had heard?
Well, no, I was just, because when I learned about that I was like, oh, I learned about that after I saw the movie, and I was like, oh, okay, well then if I had known that, maybe that would have spoiled exactly, what this movie was, that he was sort of dead the whole time, or that he was dying the whole time.
Right.
Not knowing that on the first watch of that movie, I'm like, oh, is he hallucinating this stuff? Is there a conspiracy? What is George Costanza doing the whole time as his lawyer?
Second movie where George Costanza plays a lawyer.
Yeah, Jason Alexander has a great. It's hard to to separate the two in that moment, even though I'm a huge fan of his. But so there's a lot. There's Eric LaSalle is in that. There are a lot of interesting performances. I think great performances in that. But it's okay, well, what actually is going on? And then you feel like there's this payoff at the end where it's revealed to him. It's yes, we were experimenting with this new, with the ladder, where the scientist comes to him and it's yes, and it's oh, is this real? Is this not real? Because he's hallucinating everything and you're not quite sure what's happening. But the twist at the end that he's about to die, makes total sense. The twist to me puts everything in its right place. And that's what I think makes it a satisfying movie.
Wasn't it like he sees his son? Isn't it the ending? Right.
He
That's
sees
the
his
sort
son, Gabriel, who takes him up
to heaven.
Yeah.
Right.
So
The idea is that Gabriel died before Vietnam.
before Vietnam, and then
he
everything.
sort of enlisted. You think maybe because of what happened or something like that.
Say that again.
I always sort of thought like that was probably the reason he might have enlisted. Like he was just a man, right? Yeah.
That he was
Like
whether
distraught, and he was like
whether he was drafted or he just enlisted. He was a little bit old, probably to be drafted, so maybe that is why. But and then he had an issue, with his wife and his kid. His other two kids were estranged.
Right.
Estranged. So there's a lot there in terms of a character drama that I think was super, super interesting.
Great
but
visuals.
Great visuals.
The dance scene with the tail.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm picturing it right now.
Yeah.
It's just one of those. It's just and I love movies that do that.
And that scene where they're at the party and there's this demon, raping Elizabeth Pena, maybe.
Yeah,
It's just
I love it.
it's like all this stuff.
Doctors.
But it's just an incredibly dark, twisted, paranoid thriller of a movie that it doesn't really get talked about that much. And I wonder why that is. Maybe for the time it was too dark. I don't know, but very I've watched it a few times now. Got something new from it each time.
Yeah.
And number 2.
Making me want to watch that again.
Yeah, I want to watch that one again too now.
So we're on your number 2 now.
Oh, we're on my number 2?
Yeah.
All right. Well, just to keep it kind of interesting, in terms of number 2s, I will go with a more recent movie that I really liked. Admittedly, the ending loses me, but I thought the movie up until this point was great. I really liked It Follows. I thought It Follows was great. I thought, again, it's an indie. I like the premise. It's sort of familiar with what we've seen, right? Sexually transmitted disease as the metaphor, allegory for the horror. But what I like about It Follows is it's just, I feel like it's the kind of first movie or indie movie that a person makes that doesn't really get made today because, the industry's so built up. And it's whereas with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it's he's like, go make a movie out in Texas. And shit goes wild and you don't know what you're getting. Or Evil Dead, you're like, we're going to go make a movie in the woods in a cabin. And you're like, okay, what we got? But with It Follows, he does some great things. First of all, the imagery, it's not even as blatantly scary as The Ring, but the whole Smile, where there's just somebody who's staring at you, in It, right? Somebody's walking towards you, it's a very, you always talk about you can feel somebody's eyes on the back of you, and it's it's not technically threatening, but the whole opening scene of the movie sets it up where she calls her father and she's on the run, and you're what the fuck is she running from? And the movie maintains that throughout by putting you in her, her perspective. So when she goes running out of the house, you understand why all those things are happening. The big guy coming into the room with all of her friends is just one of my all-time favorite scenes. But also it does this thing, and we've talked about this with Survive the Night, is the shelf phone thing and
e-reader.
Yeah, there's all these anachronistic kind of devices. And so when the hell does the movie take place?
We don't know.
Is it 1990, 1980? Right, we don't know. And so unfortunately it falls apart in the last scene in the pool because it sort of breaks all of its own rules. So okay, it probably would keep it normally from making the ultimate top list. But in terms of just that new modern crop of movies, we've mentioned Smile and Talk to Me is another one that Babadook was all these what was the Fede Alvarez Don't Breathe, which I love. I thought so. I was trying to debate, but I thought It Follows in terms of its style and its restraint. And the fact that it got so much mileage out of just people walking, and even the opening scene where he's got her to the chair, and you're what the fuck is going on? And you think it's gonna be a really dark thing, and he's all right, listen, this is what it is. We've had sex, so it's on you now. I gotta go. I'm bound. You're what the fuck is this movie? What is going? So for me, It Follows. I really like It Follows.
Awesome. Katie, do you want to?
We're doing number 1?
Yeah. Do you want to talk about number 1?
Sure. So this is such a famous movie. It's such a hyped movie. I knew all the hype going in, and I was like, this can't possibly be this good. And then I watched it, and it was that good. And my number 1 is The Exorcist.
Okay.
And It's actually a movie that I put off watching for a long time because when I was 10 or 11, a friend of the family was talking to me about it and was like, and they put this subliminal face in and it's so scary. And that concept scared me so badly that I put off watching the movie. And when I did actually watch it, there was an added layer of suspense. Because I was like, she told me there's going to be this face. When is the face coming?
Yeah.
Separate from that. And that face is horrendous. I still
The Pazuzu
can't
white face?
stand
Yeah.
the white Pazuzu face. Yes. I just think that movie is so good. I think every performance is great. I think even the opening, because it has a little bit of a slower start once we get to DC, but it does such a great job building up the relationship between Ellen Burstyn, Chris McNeil, and Reagan, that when she starts to get sick and when she starts acting out, I think it just makes you feel for the girl and feel for the mother so much more, because you see this really loving, playful, fun relationship they have. I also think that Jason Miller as Father Karras is incredible. And there's a moment, and this movie has so many famous moments. One of the ones that's really understated that I love. There's a moment where, in the middle of the exorcism, Father Merrin and Father Karras are sitting on the stairs outside her room, like almost taking a breather from the exorcism. And they both just look so defeated, and they're supposed to be the heroes. They're the cavalry. They are the exorcists. And there's this moment where you're like, they don't even think this is going to work. And it's just so... I find it to be a very moving movie. And even before demons or exorcism get brought up, when they're trying to find out what's wrong with her, and every doctor and every psychiatrist is saying, no, she's fine. What an upsetting concept. That you know that your child needs help. And all of the people who should be there to give you help are telling you that they can't find what's wrong.
Yeah.
And I just...
Very scary.
It's scary. It's poignant.
Yeah.
I am such a fan of that movie. Every time I watch it, I see something new. I got to see it on the big screen a few years ago for its 50th anniversary. It just... Every time I watch it, I'm equally impressed with everything about it. So...
I'm curious. So, what's your feelings on The Omen?
I like The Omen. I don't think it works as well as The Exorcist for me, but I still think it's a really good movie. Exorcist is a 10 out of 10. Omen's probably like a 7 for me.
Yeah, no, the reason I ask it, really love The Omen, but I think it's that it is the daughter-mother relationship of The Exorcist. Of course, there's the religious connotations. Of course, it was the book when it came out, and it had all the hype around it. But like, you know, as great as, what is it, Gregory Peck, right, in The Omen? Isn't that who it is?
Gregory Peck is
right,
the father.
Right, in The Omen is the father. Like, there's something about the mother,
Absolutely.
Ellen Burstyn and Reagan.
And I read something, so there's a book called The Exorcist Legacy that came out around the 50th anniversary. The author's name is escaping me, but it's a phenomenal book talking about the cultural impact of The Exorcist. And it says that when the advertising and stuff was saying people ran out of the theater.
Yeah.
First of all, the people running out and throwing up were doing so during the scene where she gets the angiogram, which it's the medical brain scan where they have to
Why
put
were
the
they
needle
throwing?
into
Oh, when
her
the needle's
neck.
going, yeah.
So it wasn't when she...
But also, the people getting up and running out and throwing up were predominantly men. And the author's kind of theory is that women feel a solidarity with that mother. Of, you know...
Never heard all that.
It's almost this feeling of, like, I need to support her. She's a fictional character in the movie, but she is going through it with her daughter and she needs help.
Interesting. Very interesting.
It's a fantastic book. I actually recommend The Exorcist Legacy.
Yeah, I want to read the Exorcist Legacy.
yeah.
The
I thought you meant
Exorcist
Bill
is a phenomenal
Blatty
book, and
Yeah.
you should absolutely read it.
Yeah, I want to read that.
The Exorcist Legacy is examining the movie and the impact of the movie. And it just has some really great historical information and some really great insight.
Yeah, Insider are interesting casting note. Originally, the priests were going to be played by Al Pacino and Paul Newman.
Feels like
I
what,
can't
What
imagine
a
what that would
movie
have been.
that would have been.
But it's kind of better that there were. No, it's like horror works sometimes better when there's no stars because that
always
movie
works
would
better
have
when there's
been
no stars.
always, yeah.
Except for Silence of the Lambs.
Well, yeah, that's true. And there's a few other examples, but in that case, those two faces are so well known and comforting. It makes that movie less extreme and less scary because it's like, oh, Paul Cool Hand Luke is here, everything will be okay. But no, it's not how that. It's not how that
and
went.
Max von Sydow has on some of the best old age makeup ever put
Yeah,
to
people don't
film.
realize he wasn't
was
like in his 70s.
44.
Yeah, he was younger than Meryl.
And then if you see him in The Force Awakens, the Star Wars movie, where he's actually an old man,
Right.
you see how well they did his old man
It's the
makeup in The
genius of
Exorcist.
Dick Smith.
And I think it works perfectly, and because it was makeup, he doesn't look like Max von Sydow. Even if you've seen The Seventh Seal,
Yeah.
he doesn't look like himself, so the actor is not familiar.
Just a quick funny story on The Exorcist, which I think you'll appreciate. So my daughter was on this is what I love about life. She was on a field trip for school to the Museum of the Motion Picture. Okay. So pick her up, how's the field trip? She's like, it was good. And we're like, oh, okay. Clearly didn't go that well. Did you get into a fight with your friend? She's like, no. She's like, Daddy, did you ever see a movie called The Exorcist? And I was like, yeah, I've seen The Exorcist. Why do you ask? And she's like, well, part of the tour in the movie is they showed us this scene where this girl's throwing up all over the place. And me and my wife Nicole was driving, and it was you could feel the rising anger of and I was angry too.
Wait, how old was
but
your
part of
daughter
me
at this?
also, and you'll appreciate wanted to kind of call up the school and be like, good job. Don't tell anybody I said this.
Fucking awesome.
Fucking awesome.
Was this the museum that's in Queens?
Yes.
Okay, I've been to that exhibit. It's incredible that that's what your daughter came back and said, because they have the prop Reagan. They have her
yeah,
with
the
her
Dick
head
Smith
spun
head.
around with all the makeup.
Yeah, I think
they
she-
have quite a few Exorcist
She
props.
saw a bunch of things. I'm giving you the short
And
version for the sake of the late
and
podcast.
the screen
Yeah.
is talking about the scene where Father Marin first walks in and the demon screams from
Yeah.
upstairs. I have seen that that whole exhibit at that museum.
Well, she saw it too.
And-
How old are you? 'Cause she's 11.
It was this
11.
year, and she's a trooper.
That's a good one. That is, The Exorcist is
There you
top
go.
notch, man.
Nick, what do you think? Number one.
Number one, okay. Yeah, I mean, the way I was approaching this, and I mentioned this up front, my favorite band in the world is the Misfits. Is it the greatest band of all time? No, but it's my favorite. Greatest, Stones, Beatles, Bowie, Prince. But my favorite is the Misfits. So, in this context, my number one, something about this movie I love. I don't know why. I'm a little unsettled that I love it as much as I do. And that would be Devil's Rejects.
Oh, great fucking movie.
It's so
Another
good.
movie that you walk out of and you're like, I might need to take a shower.
I
after that
know
movie.
it touches that vile nature of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
Yes.
but also there is something so cool and fun about it. And Rob Zombie even said, you can have characters that get away with anything as long as they're cool, and that is exactly what happens in this
Yeah,
movie,
they are
where
cool.
you have these characters are as degraded and vile and horrific as you can possibly imagine. The opening sequence is Bill Moseley is in bed with a corpse.
Right.
And start there. That's
So
how the
good.
movie opens. But you fall in love with the Firefly family, and it's you watch this movie and you think, what does this say about me? And you're rooting for them.
Especially,
at
the
the
last
end.
scene is, and the last scene, great
The
needle
last
drop,
scene is so
great
good.
ending. Fuck Thelma
Best
Louise.
needle drop you
I don't care
could do for
bullshit.
that
Yeah,
song.
great.
It's
Unbelievable.
so good.
That's the best ride off into the ending, and you're not going to make it, but
Yeah.
it's so good.
I kind of wish that they didn't do 3 from Hell, even though I did kind of enjoy things about 3 from Hell because that was such a conclusive ending.
Right.
And I love House of a Thousand Corpses too.
Right.
But I felt like this took that concept and these characters and refined them in a way that was this is a distillation of everything Rob Zombie is capable of. And I wish he had more movies like
Just
that.
said something that almost makes me want to change my first movie. But go ahead.
Uh-oh, okay.
I actually picked up the remote to turn off Devil's Rejects.
Oh, is that
Yes.
right?
Definitely.
And thought
I think I know
about
the
it,
scene.
and then was like, I gotta see where this is
Yes.
going.
Yeah.
It really, it's a great movie, but that has some moments.
It's got some really rough moments, but there's something rock and roll about it and cool. You can tell it was made by a rock star.
Yeah, and I think for me, because House of a Thousand Corpses, I flew through. There was no question about turning it off. I liked it. And I think Devil's Rejects has some moments that feel a little more real. And I think that the scene in the motel
Yeah, that's the rough one.
that's the scene.
feels real.
Yeah.
And that was the moment where I was like, I don't know if I can keep going with
Yeah.
this. And then I said to myself, I was like, okay, you loved House of a Thousand Corpses. Give it a minute.
Yeah. Well, apparently Bill Moseley was doing that scene and had like a real issue, and he turned to Rob Zombie. He's like, I don't know how many more takes I can do. This is really, really rough. I don't feel good about this. Everyone's upset on set. And Rob Zombie goes, yeah, art isn't safe.
Right.
What the fuck are we doing here? Like, you're Chop Top. Like, I'm Rob Zombie. Like, we all
I
know what
think
we're getting
we
into.
changed
Art
my
is
name
not
to
safe.
Rob Zombie. What are we doing here?
Yeah, like, come on, let's go. But I fell in love with those characters. I was rooting for them, even though they're like the worst, most vile characters. The only other time I felt that way was Natural Born Killers. Like, I fell in love with Mickey and Mallory, even though they're horrific.
Yeah, great.
But I know there's something about the energy of that movie, and there's some genuinely hilarious moments.
In
also.
Natural Born Killers? I mean, or
Well, in Devil's Rejects. Yeah, you ain't thinking about fucking these chickens, are you? I have thought about fucking chickens. It's like what? But that carny, insane rock and roll sensibility of Rob Zombie's, which I don't think has ever been topped. It's distilled in a wonderful way in that movie, and is it perfectly written? Absolutely not. But you have Sid Haig as Captain Howdy, not Captain Howdy,
Spaulding.
Captain Spaulding.
Yeah.
Thank you. And he's front and center, and he's kind of a small character in the first movie, and seeing so much of him, and he's so big and so loud, and it's Sid Haig, and it's just Rob Zombie's merry band of misfits, and it works. It works better than any of his movies, and it works beautifully.
I think the thing too, because like I don't love the Rob Zombie Halloween. I think because he has that rock and roll carny mindset, Rob Zombie is at his best when he can do his own thing.
Right.
When they, I
That's a good
think,
point.
telling him, and like I said earlier, House of a Thousand Corpses, very inspired by Texas Chainsaw
Oh, yeah,
Massacre.
for sure.
But I don't know that I would have loved Rob Zombie trying to do a Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think him doing his own thing, inspired by, that's what he needed for his style. It hits, it's great, it's fun.
Yeah.
I have the
He's
song.
not coloring in the lines. He's got to be able to
Exactly.
go freeform.
He's got to do his own thing,
do his
yeah.
own thing.
And they made a House of a Thousand Corpses coloring book, speaking of coloring in the lines. It's a real thing
Did they
now.
really?
Yeah, they did. You can buy it.
Oh, I have a coloring book called The Beauty of Horror.
Yeah,
that
I've seen
is
those.
They're all like zombie, and they have a pop culture section, so it's like Jeopardy, but with Alex Trebek as a zombie. They're great.
That's awesome.
Oh, that makes me think I should have picked They Live as my first movie, but all right, next time. Sorry, go ahead. All right, so what are we up to? Sean?
So I guess
Or-
it's my number one. So my number one, little backstory first. So when I took a intro to film course in college, the professor was assigned a paper on studying a screenplay, and she was like, you pick any screenplay of any movie except this one, and of course made me curious about what this one was. And then I watched this movie, immediately became one of my favorite movies. I actually showed it to my now wife, and I think our second date, or very, very soon, and it was way too soon to show her that movie, because she was like, what kind of a weirdo am I getting together with? The movie was named, I think, as New York Times #2 movie of the century, and that is Mulholland Drive. And
Lynch, great.
with Mulholland Drive, you may say it's not a traditional horror movie, and you can get that. There's basically a very early jump scare, and in a previous episode about The Shining, I said The Shining was the #2 movie in terms of giving us a sense of dread. I think Mulholland Drive, to me, is number one. Because of that early jump scare, and you have a lot of those traditional Lynchian tracking shots. Score is amazing. It's a great L.A. movie.
Yeah,
it's a
great LA
great
movie.
showbiz movie.
Yeah.
It's a great, like, this is what showbiz is, and all of the sort of pitfalls and what's behind the scenes, what's making the decisions, and it's this entire dream. Literally, like, most of the movie is this entire sort of dream, and there's this sort of dreamlike construction of what's going on, and it's to me such an iconic rewatchable movie that you get something from each time. There's not, after the first jump scare, there's maybe one more until the very end of the movie.
When you say the first jump scare, is it the guy behind the dumpster?
Yeah, it's the guy
diner?
behind the dumpster. And then you have one other, but it just is so good. And then, you know, to hear that I think it started as an ABC pilot, like his follow up to Twin Peaks.
Oh, that's right. It was going to be a show.
And it was going to be a show. It's like, all right, well, it'll just be a movie. And the movie totally works. The movie, you know, maybe my favorite movie. It's hard for me to say, like, of different genres, like, what do you prefer? But it's scary. It makes you uneasy the whole time. It just, there's a lot of subtext to everything about it. You know, Katie knows how much I love the movie, but it's just something that, you know, obviously it's a movie that sticks with you also. You're trying to, I did not understand what happened the first time I watched it. What did I just watch? What is that story?
You like the hallucinatory movies like Midsommar.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like Jacob's Ladder.
Yeah. And I think Mulholland Drive is the hardest to make sense of until you actually stop and understand the construction of the story, right? And then, you know, once she's awake at the very end, and you're just like, oh, shit, what did she just do? What did she just hire a hitman to do? And why? And then it all starts coming into place, and that to me is the brilliance of it. And I did not get it the first time maybe even the second time I watched it.
So I just saw it for the first time recently. The movie ended, and I said to Sean, I think I don't know what happened. And then Sean said to me, well, it was a dream from this point. Oh. And I just had that moment of like, well, I wish I would have known that before because I feel like I didn't understand a thing. And it's a very, I've only seen it the once.
He's a very acquired taste, Lynch. Like, I mean, I really like him too.
Well, I loved Twin Peaks. And this feels like such a weird thing to say, but I feel like Twin Peaks was a little more grounded. Which is a wild thing to say.
I uttered that sentence, actually.
Yeah.
I feel like I followed Twin Peaks much better. And I also actually had not heard the story about the date. And Sean's wife is my sister. And when you first started dating, it means she had just moved to LA to work in the film industry and the TV industry. What a wild movie to show a young woman who moved to LA to be in the industry.
Now she fell asleep during the movie.
That tracks.
That's funny.
But anyway, not a good date movie, I would say. But
that is a tough date movie, Mulholland Drive. Like even like Texas Chainsaw Massacre is still a better date movie. I feel like because you're like, all right, look, we're both fucking terrified.
Yeah.
In this, let's try to get through it together. Whereas like Jacob's Ladder, like,
no,
what is this person I'm sitting next to? What
what
are you watching here?
No.
What's going on?
No,
not Jacob's Ladder.
I would say with Mulholland Drive, it's also, although it's a tough movie to understand, and I still don't know that I completely understand it at all. He has some other films that I think are harder to understand than that one.
Yeah, like Fire Walk With Me is pretty weird.
Well, the Twin Peaks prequel,
what's
Inland
Lost
Empire.
Lost Highway is the ultimate.
Lost Highway, yeah.
It's so good, though.
So good.
So beautifully done.
Robert Blake,
yeah.
But yeah, just for Mulholland, and it's also just a beautiful movie.
It's gorgeously shot.
Yeah.
The emotions are, ooh.
Yeah. I think I also...
Do TM, kids. That's how you get those ideas. You catch those big fish.
I do.
Yeah, man.
He's good.
Yeah, I got the Lynch Foundations where I learned.
Did you
in New York?
So do I.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, nice.
Hey,
So when I went to Katona, that's where I took my daughter. To learn TM.
Well, once you think of ideas as not belonging to you, as things that just float in the air, and if you're open to them, you can catch them. It's like, okay, I get it. You take your ego out of the creative process.
He's great. I love Lynch. Blue Velvet could definitely be on the list, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Blue Velvet, I love Blue Velvet. We also watched that pretty recently.
After Mulholland Drive.
Yeah, I don't think it's a scary movie.
No,
I think
unnerving.
It's unnerving.
It's unnerving, and obviously the rape scene, like there are some really unnerving scenes with that.
That's very terrifying.
Fucking Hopper, man. Woo.
But I think Mulholland Drive does a much. I don't think Blue Velvet tries to do this, but I think Mulholland Drive does a great job of scaring you once and then just peppering in the right moments to try and do that to you again, and then just throughout the entire movie.
And I think it's actually a similar situation to what I was describing with The Exorcist. I saw that clip of the thing behind Winkies
Yeah.
out of context on something else. and didn't watch Mulholland Drive because I that image terrified me.
Pretty creepy.
And
That's a great
I was like, Mulholland Drive must be such a scary movie. And then when Sean recommended watching it, I was like, oh, I don't know, I saw this thing. And exactly what Sean said, like, that's right at the beginning. And then in the way that I spent all of The Exorcist going, when is the face coming? When is the face coming? You could spend all of Mulholland Drive going, is that thing coming back? Where is that thing? Where is it in the scene?
Yeah.
And it plays with point of view in a really interesting way, where it's the woman who I think, no, it's like the psychic woman, and I don't remember who she is in conscious life, in Diane's like conscious life, but it's the woman who, you know, you're playing with her point of view that maybe she's like she's outside of their bungalow, and then she's like, something's wrong, and you know, something's wrong. And, like, that's a really scary moment because, first of all, who is this woman?
Right.
Right? And why is she saying... And it's like, oh, you know, I forgot Naomi Watts' name in the, you know, in the dream
Betty?
part. Betty. It's like, oh, my name's Betty. It's like, no, it's not. it's like, what's going on here? And so there's a mystery to it. There's a mystery to, like, what happens at the top of Mulholland Drive, which is, like, get out and then... what's her name's in the accident. I feel like, oh, it's my favorite movie, and I can't remember characters' names, but that's just me with every movie. But you know, so like there's a mysterious element to it where you're, as an audience member, as a viewer, you're trying to solve these like little mysteries to figure out the larger thing of what's going on. And I think that's so clever because at the same time, you just don't know what you're watching. You know, you don't know that you're not watching a mystery at all.
That's right. That's why. See, it's funny. I have to rewatch it again now, along with Reanimator. But I feel like with Mulholland Drive, when I saw it, and I've probably seen it twice, I remember thinking, "Oh, this works for Lynch," and maybe the same way that Blue Velvet does, but because like it's grounded by what feels like a mystery that you think you can kind of understand, but it ends up being like a Paul Auster kind of novel. You're like, is this really a mystery? Like, I'm not even sure there's a thing, but yet it is. I mean, it is central to the movie, and it's just like a great spine for him to sort of like hang everything else on that he does and all. Whereas like, again, Lost Highway, I'm just sort of like,
I was
or
very
what was the one with
confused.
Nick Cage and Laura Dern? What's that one called?
Wild at Heart.
Wild at Heart. Like Wild
Yeah.
at Heart, I'm just kind of like, I feel like this movie should be more.
This is
like,
Nick
what?
Cage at his most Nick Cage.
Nick Cage,
Very
yeah.
Nick Cagey.
Yeah.
Very-
Yeah. So you know, I don't think he's, you know, I don't think he bats 1,000, Lynch, right? But I do think that when
He's a fan favorite.
but I do think that when he makes contact, he hits it out of the park.
Yeah, and
So-
Lynch has that thing of like, you know, you're watching a David Lynch movie almost like whenever it's on. You're just like, oh,
Yeah.
this has to be David Lynch. It's the only thing I could be watching right now, which is, you know, really something as a filmmaker, I have to say.
And
Yeah.
I'd rather watch a big swing, even one that doesn't connect, than something that looks super generic and is like technically fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. That's,
Yeah.
Which happens a lot in horror,
Yeah.
especially as things get derivative.
Yeah. All right, Jeremy.
Well, all right. For my number one, if we weren't here for so long, I would definitely do bonuses because there's a lot that are flying through my head of
Yeah.
things that I want to watch and talk about, especially with all of you. But I'll go very traditional, very classic. I will just preface it by saying, like Night of the Living Dead and actually like the movie Psycho, this was a movie that I had first heard about, and you'll appreciate this in reference. I first heard about it before I saw it. And I first heard about it when I was on my summer camp overnight trip. And the counselors were like, okay, we're going to tell a little ghost story. And the ghost story is about this guy named Fred, and he's got a sweater, and he's burned, and he's got knives for fingernails, and by the way, he kills you when you sleep. Have a good night, everybody. And I was like, holy shit, what the? And I mean, that was like the scariest overnight. And then like, whatever it is, like, you know, it comes out in 84. So that was probably when he told it to me. I was probably like that summer, this idiot counselor had seen it and was like, oh, I'll tell these fucking kids this story. And I saw it probably like a year or so later. And again, Nightmare on Elm Street is just that, like, I'm sorry, I'm trying to put my hand down. It's like, it is, first of all, again, Mike DeLuca comes up with the concept. It's New Line Cinema. It's a great sort of movie success story. It spawns all these franchises. But it's just so unsettling to me. Nightmare on Elm Street, the first one, like, fuck the remake. I'm sorry, like Jackie Earle Haley, but, like, not even close. There's something about that first one. It's like, it's funny because all the movies we're talking about, from like The Exorcist and Lynch, and like I feel like Nightmare on Elm Street was just one of those, like, Wes Craven like was just really working at his best at the moment. Put all these right things in. There are the opening scene, the dream sequence, scary as hell. Scary as hell. Like the whole like, we all had our dream. Like we all had the same. I had a dream about that guy with the knives. Don't fall asleep. Johnny Depp. All that stuff is great. I mean, you got to give a shout out to the bed blood scene, which is fucking awesome.
So good.
So good. I mean, truly, like, again, that same sort of like It quality in the beginning, like in It when he's like when Mike is staring into the furnace of like the cow prod where all they're dying, and he's like looking and they're like sees Pennywise, and then Henry Bowers comes in and almost runs him down. Like Nightmare on Elm Street had that feeling like you're like, oh, I think it's the dream. I think the dream started, and then like you'd see the kids 1, 2, Fred, it's coming. Scared the hell out of me. Scared the hell out of me. On a related note, just to bring you into this, Nick, and we can talk about the first one, but I just have to tell this funny story. So one of my favorite stories, this one always goes over well, was Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors, which I am super excited for because by this point, I am fully in Nightmare on Elm Street. Like I've seen the first one, seen the second one. I thought the second one was terrifying. I thought the scene where he sees him in the basement, that was one of the scariest, sharpening the knives, and then he's in his like at the stairs, like in your parents' house, terrifying. But Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors is coming out. And I'm in 5th grade. So I'm like you're younger than my daughter at this age. And at the time, I am in school in Long Island. We had a exchange program going on with a bunch of French students. And I had a young man staying with me named Julian. And Julian, from France, very proper. And my parents, who by this point knew me very well, were going out for a Saturday night. This kid was with us for like 2 weeks. My father comes up to me and he's like, listen to me. He's like, we're going out tonight. I don't want you watching any scary movies. I don't even know how my father, who I feel like would have missed this stuff, like knew it was coming on. He's like, I don't want you watching. I mentioned at the breakfast table. He's like, do not put this on. This is not my kid. And I'm like, Dad, I totally understand. I will not watch Nightmare on Elm Street tonight, Dream Warriors. As soon as they leave, I go into their bedroom and I put on Channel 6, which is HBO, and I settle in to watch the post 8 p.m., which is when they would show the R-rated movies. Friday night premiere, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors. Very excited. Like, very, very excited for all the reasons. But I say to this kid, Julian, beforehand, I say, Julian, have you seen Freddy Krueger before? He's like, oh, yes, Freddy Krueger, yes, I've seen, like, French accent. I'm like,
Yeah.
Are you sure? I'm like, it's got the knives, and it gets scary. He's like, oh, no problem. Meanwhile, it's just probably like this American kid whose house I'm staying at. Like,
Yeah.
wants me to watch a movie, I'll watch whatever else. It's like, okay. We watch the movie, and I commit what I think is the perfect crime. I smooth out the bed sheet. I change the channel off of 6 back to like 2, so then I would write no evidence whatsoever. And I should mention that all of these French kids were supposed to be sleeping in the same room as the people that they were staying with. But I do not like that. I really, other than tell my wife, I do not like anybody being in my room. I don't like anything. And so I had arranged, like on day 2, that he would sleep in the guest room down the hallway. And I would sleep in my own room. And so perfect crime, right? I go to bed, fall asleep, happy as I can be because I've seen Welcome to Primetime, bitch, right? Dream Warriors, the whole thing. I'm psyched. At like God knows what time in the morning is my father shaking me awake, and I wake up, my father's face is right in my face. He's like, you watched that movie, didn't you? And I'm like scrambling, like my brain is trying to come back online. I'm like, no. And I'm thinking in my head, like, change the channel, like smooth out the thing, like perfect crime, like perfect. No, Dad, didn't watch the movies. Like, didn't watch the movies. Like, then why is Julian in my room right now crying to your mother about a man with fingernails for knives? And he's like, if you think he's sleeping in my room tonight, you've got another thing coming. So get your ass out of bed and get in there and sleep in the guest room with him, and you can listen to him cry all night. And I went. Shit, totally caught, story. Right? Oh, go into the room, and the beds were catty corner, and I got into the bed, and I'm so pissed at this kid. I'm so pissed at him, and I will never forget this. He was just like, this is what he said to me. He's like, I wasn't very scared. And I went, shut the fuck up. Shut up. I'm not going to say fuck, but shut up. And like, I was like, he left like a week later, and I was like, thank God, good riddance. I don't care, whatever. But I will never forget that. My father would give me up, be like, you watched that movie. Julian. So Nightmare on Elm Street for that reason, and for the original because it is an absolutely terrifying movie.
Masterpiece.
I mean, absolute masterpiece. Just so scary.
Amazing.
So scary start to finish.
We got to do another episode on Nightmare.
Oh, easily.
No, Nightmare on Elm Street, it deserves its top 5.
That deserves
it deserves its own show, rather.
Yeah, but
for
that's
sure.
It's
a scary movie.
All right, before we wrap up, we didn't do this on the other episode.
Did you do your number 1 yet?
Exorcist.
Yes.
Oh, that was number 1. All right, I'm sorry. My apologies.
Wait, let's start over again. What's that Kevin Kline line from Fish Called Wanda? I got the first part in the middle. What was the middle part again? Start over again.
Is there? I mean, I don't know. I don't know if anyone here has social plugs or anybody that they want to plug.
That's good.
I don't know, Nick.
Sure. Follow me on the Instagrams at Nick Taylor Horror Show, and on TikTok at the same handle.
Nice. I've loved TikTok. Follow me on YouTube at Alice Island, and you probably don't want to follow me on social
And
media.
though maybe something else.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want. I wasn't.
There
sure
may
if we
be
were
something
dropping
else
that.
coming. There may be something else to follow
In the future.
in the-
You'll see more from Sean and I.
Yeah.
Hopefully, all of us.
Katie, do you have? You don't do the socials.
I don't do the socials.
Yeah.
Grad school
I
has been
try-
eating my life. So
I
every time
try not
say
to.
I'm
I
going
don't do the
to, I'm
socials
out.
either. But thanks for everybody for watching and listening, and stay tuned for
And
the next
leave
one.
it in the comments your favorite top
Yeah.
5 movies
Yeah.
for
I'd
sure.
love to know.
If you've got it. We'd love to check it out, and more to come.
Awesome.